It's Jerri Ward back with Chuck Baldwin. And Chuck, when we left, we were talking about the economy, and I think that there's an issue that directly impacts the economy for us, and that is American sovereignty, that particular issue. And you just wrote an article about that. And I want you to tell people where you stand on that and what you mean about American sovereignty, because I don't think you mean that the civil government's sovereign over us. I think you mean something different when you're talking about American sovereignty. So why don't you explain that?
Yeah, I'm talking about our national independence. When I talk about national sovereignty, I'm talking about the freedom that we as Americans have to govern ourselves according to our laws in our Constitution. We are a self-governing nation. We are independent from other nations. You know, whenever we just celebrated our Independence Day here on July 4th, just a few weeks ago, you know, we all celebrated that day when Thomas Jefferson wrote that immortal document, and those men signed it. And that's the birth certificate of our country. And from there, our war for independence, was started. And the whole effort that was made back in those days was to create a free and independent sovereign state. And that's exactly what they did. Now, what's going on today is both parties, the Republicans and Democrats, are gradually turning America over to international interests, to internationalist interests, to global interest. John McCain is out there all over the place talking about that we are an interdependent nation. He's even said that he believes in the International Criminal Court. Now, people need to stop and pay attention to what this guy's saying when he talks about that. What he means there is that he believes in the creation of a court system that the judges come from various nations, multinational in scope, who would sit in a position of authority and judgment over the affairs of the United States. So, in other words, any law that we would pass in America, and any judgment that a court would render in America would be subservient to the rulings and the opinions of this international criminal court. That means that American citizens could go to prison on the authority not of an American court system, but upon an international court system. Now, that's just one example. When you look at the NAFTA superhighway that they're trying to build right there in your state, coming up out of Mexico into Texas and all the way up to the Canadian border. When you look at this creation of the North American community and eventually a North American Union, which is patterned after the European Union over across the sea. All of this is a sacrifice of national sovereignty. I believe that the illegal immigration issue also relates to this problem. You know, Ronald Reagan said that a nation without borders is not a nation. And when you look and see what's happening on the border, you recognize that we are losing our national independence and our national security. So these, in my opinion, Jerry, this is the real issue today. It's not Republican or Democrat. It's not liberal or conservative. The real battle today is American or globalist. And John McCain is a globalist, and Barack Obama is a globalist. I mean, are these guys trying to be president of the United States, or are they trying to be president of the world? John McCain on the campaign trail goes down to Central America. Barack Obama on the campaign trail goes over to Europe. I mean, this is crazy. These guys are both globalists. They think globally, they talk globally, they act globally. I'm an American. I think for what's best for America. I dream about what's best for America. All my decisions and all my actions are based upon what's good for the United States of America, not what's good for the world. I'm not trying to save the planet. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi. I'm simply trying to do what the Constitution requires me to do when I take the oath of office, and that is to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's the same oath that John McCain took. It's the same oath that Barack Obama took. Neither one of them kept their oath, and I will keep my oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Well, I'd like to talk a little bit specifically, besides the International Criminal Court and how it can impact us as individuals, economically, what impact do you see occurring on just us average citizens who are not part of the banking elite or the multi-corporation elite? What economic impact do you see occurring to us as these people try to barrel us down towards the globalization?
Well, look at, I think what you can see with the person. Look at the price of gasoline. Look at the inflation. I mean, Ron Paul was right when he asked Bernanke. He said, is not inflation a tax? And the Fed chairman said exactly right. It is a tax. And when you stop and think about how the American people are being taxed through inflation, you look at the price of gas and you see how people's lives are being affected. You look at energy costs across the board. You look at the rise of food costs that have taken place. All that is a tax on the American people. And that is because of this incessant infatuation with a global economy, and what we're doing is we've taken our jobs we've sent them to Mexico and to China and to India. Listen, I worked for 2 years at the General Motors Truck and Coach Division in Detroit, Michigan, Plant 5, from 1971 to 1973. When I was there, we were working 3 shifts, 8 hours a day. That's 24/7. The line never stopped. We were putting out those American-made products. The economy was robust. Unemployment was almost non-existent. I went back to Detroit just a couple of weeks ago, Jerry, 35 years later. The plant I used to work at has not only been closed down, it's been torn down. Most of the factories up there have been torn down. The ones that are left, most of them are abandoned, dilapidated. I mean, there are parts of Detroit that look like a war zone. It looks like a third-rate country. People are working 2 and 3 jobs, minimum wage, mostly trying to make a decent living for their families. That is a direct result of this globalization that's going on, and NAFTA and CAFTA and GATT and WTO and FTAA and all that stuff. John McCain wants to expand NAFTA. Barack Obama said he wants to revamp NAFTA. Well, let me tell you, I don't want to revamp it. I don't want to expand it. I want to eliminate it. When Chuck Baldwin is president of the United States, we're getting out of NAFTA. We're getting out of CAFTA. I mean, these so-called free trade deals are DOA when I become president. And all of that is impacting our cost of living, the inflation rate, the unemployment rate, not to mention the loss of jobs overseas and the increase in the of international conglomerates into the internal affairs of the United States of America.
Well, a question that I have in my mind is, in the last few years or last decade, we've had booms in construction, other kinds, the dot-com boom and bust, and boom and bust. And the question in my mind is, have we really been creating wealth in this country, or have we just been coming up with dollars to buy consumer stuff? And is that a result of the inflationary policies of our government?
Yeah, our manufacturing base is eviscerated. It's gone. It's not there. I really am concerned about our country from a security standpoint. We haven't dealt with the Iraq War here on this discussion, but think about the fact that if a serious, major international conflict broke out, let's say with Red China, and I really feel that we have more to fear from Red China than we do Iraq, Iran, or any other country in the Middle East. China is a serious potential threat to our country, and let's suppose that this international conflict erupted next week, in which we had to seriously engage a major power. We don't have the manufacturing base in this country to handle that. The American people should really be concerned about this. When World War II occurred, America went to work producing the things that we needed to produce to supply our military endeavors in order to wage that war.
Rosie the Riveter.
We don't have that capability today. You just cannot build a manufacturing plant in 6 months and start pumping out whatever the materials that are necessary to be able to supply the troops. Here we got a situation where many of our firearms that our military people are carrying are made in China. The Beretta 9mm, which is the official sidearm of the armed forces, made in Italy. Many of the bullets are made overseas. The helicopter that President Bush flies around in, Marine Corps One, is made overseas.
Wow.
You look at what we have exported to other countries in terms of manufacturing, and then you realize, you know what, if we had to supply our troops in the field with some serious manufacturing in a very quick period of time, we would not be able to do it.
Wow.
And so when we talk about national security and defense and so forth, and then we talk about what's happening in our economy, we've got to remember that those two are related. You cannot divorce your economic manufacturing situation from your military/security situation. They are definitely related. And so I really feel that that's why I say we've got to bring these jobs back to America. We've got to start producing again. We've got to start manufacturing things again. And if we don't really start emphasizing that, getting America back to work and start producing the hard goods that we used to manufacture in this country, we are in serious, serious trouble, not only from an economic point of view, but we're in serious trouble from a security point of view.
Well, from the security point of view, why don't you tell us what you would do, what your position on the war is? Is it really protecting our country, and what would you do with regard to if elected president?
Well, first of all, as president, I have no authority to invade and occupy a foreign country without a declaration of war from Congress. That's first of all. The Constitution gives to the Congress, not the White House, the responsibility to wage war. And I think it's unconstitutional for any president, be it Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter, conservative or liberal, to send American troops to invade and occupy foreign countries without a declaration of war from Congress. And so as president, I would not do that. I would demand that the Congress steps up to the plate, obeys the Constitution, and declares war, if that indeed is what they feel should be done. So that's first of all. Now, with the war in Iraq in particular, the troops are already there. You can't, you can go back and question whether or not they should have been sent and how were they sent, but they're there. Here's what I think about that. First of all, when President Bush got up and said, mission accomplished, he was telling the truth. It really was accomplished at that point. What our troops were sent to do was to liberate the people of Iraq from Saddam Hussein. They did that, all right? But now they're not there as a liberation force. They are there as an occupation force. And our troops were never designed to be occupation forces. They're not designed to be the pawns of the United Nations. And
exactly.
That's exactly what's going on today. And as President of the United States, I would not allow that to continue.
Well, thank you, and I really appreciate you being on today. Again, I wish we had more time, but good luck in your campaign, and I hope to see you here in Texas.
Thank you very much, Jerri. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. And stay tuned because I've got a great guest coming after the break.